Okay, so we are so excited. We're going to get ongoing because I do know it is some people's actual lunch hour. Sandy, I saw your message. Yep, I've posted that. Jane and Marie Lunch and Learn. It's out. It's been out. It's out everywhere. Wherever you always see stuff for this is where it usually is. And again, because I know some of you are getting it, through groups, and anyway, you're getting shared by a friend, and this thing is just taken off a life of its own. And I love it because I love that we get all divisions. I love that we have from consultant to nationals on here sometimes. And here's what I know. It's really just more minds, less work, I think sometimes, right? We're just creative, and it just helps us so much because sometimes we can hear the same idea just a little bit different for how our brains work. And that's what we all need, right? We're here to build Mary Kay's legacy together and to do it in her honor and in the way that she would have wanted it done. And so we have the privilege of having gorgeous Loralee Brown on today. I got to listen to her. We haven't actually ever met in person, but I think we're kindled souls at a point because I got to listen to her. We were doing like a Red Revolution, or I don't even know what it was actually called when we were doing that. I forget. But anyway, it was phenomenal. And she spoke, and I'm like, oh my God, like you're literally me. Like, this is crazy. And so I just want you to know, I fell in love with you that day. You are beautiful in and out, and how you do business. I have so much respect for you. And I always tell when I get guests on here, I hope they feel honored because you all are sending me so many requests that people are like, hey, because I don't know everybody in every division. Like, you got to have so-and-so, you got to have so-and-so. And so thank you for spreading this word around. Thank you for sending recommendations, because I love getting to hear from people I've never gotten to hear from, because I don't care what level you are. I think we all have great minds. So Loralee, thank you for being so given to everybody today and taking your time. I know we're all busy as directors before we go to leadership, and so many of the company launched a lot of things. And so I know our minds are kind of, so I appreciate you doing that today. And I just love you and adore you. And I'm going to let you take over.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. The feeling is mutual, Fred. Thank you for that lovely introduction, and for your kind words. Thank you for asking me. I feel honored and blessed and grateful. And to be honest with you, I've been in kind of the season, my first initial response, and I didn't say it to you, but my first response was like, no, probably not. And then I thought on it and prayed on it, and felt like I was supposed to do it. And so my prayer is that something I say today, something that I share, is an encouragement. It empowers you to think a new thought, to maybe go into this new year with hope. And I hope that you just leave here inspired and maybe a little bit more motivated. So that is my prayer. Like Jennifer said, you've probably already heard these things. And first of all, I have to give a shout out to my senior director, because she sent me this notebook. How cute is this, y'all? And she's on here, and I did not know she was going to be on. So she commented in the chat. I was like, oh, she's right there. So Beth, if you hear some of these things, you're like, I taught her that. Yes, you did. I've been raised from the best. So shout out to my senior director, Beth Austin, and all of the love and training and hours and patience and grace that she has poured into me as I grew as a sales director. So what I'm going to talk to you today about is some things I have learned. Now, y'all, I know I have been praying over this and thinking on it for days, if not a couple weeks, just on different little pockets of time. And I'm the type that I like to feel prepared, and I like to do a good job with whatever I do. And I kept thinking, what in the world am I going to share? And this morning, as I was taking my shower after my workout, it was like God said, I already told you what to share. And the thing that kept coming to me was some things I have learned. And I was like, that is such a simple, generic title, but that's what I have for you today. Okay. So I'm going to share my story because I feel like stories are very relatable. I think that they are inspiring and encouraging. And I promise you, when you hear my story and you hear the accolades and the accolades, you'll be like, okay, I can do that too. All right. And so I'm going to share my story and kind of weave that into the things that I have learned. And then what put me on the fast track to success right out the gate as a new sales director. So the first thing I'll tell you is one of the first things I learned. And I actually heard this as a child from a mentor, and it really stuck with me. And then I've learned it even more in my Mary Kay business. And that is that there is no joy in pleasing others, only in serving others. And that's what we do in Mary Kay, you guys. We serve people. We pamper them. We love on them. We change their skin. We change their life. Like, we get to serve others through this amazing opportunity and through, sharing this brand with other people. And that is what brings joy. Now, I'll tell you what urged me to write that down to share with you guys. And this is part of my story. When Mary Kay came into my life in September of 2016, it came in the form of a pamper packet. Now, I am a result of someone warm chatting me in America's thrift store in Pell City, Alabama. Yes, I am. She did not know me. I did not know her. We have boys that are 5 days apart. And so she was talking to Logan, my oldest, that was 16 months old. And we struck up a conversation. One thing led to another. She gave me her Mary Kay business card. She followed up with me after that. She offered me a facial. She mailed me a facial. I tried the product. I loved the product. She was very smart. She was trained well. She asked me to get on a call with her her director, and just find out more about Mary Kay. Maybe it was for me, maybe it wasn't. Got on a call, fell in love with Beth Austin, and fell in love with the picture that she painted of not just the Mary Kay opportunity, but the picture of her life. Beth is such a fine example of someone that has literally designed her life, and it's absolutely beautiful. And so I fell in love with that. And what I felt that day was hope. I felt hope that my life could look different than it looked in that time, in that moment. And I also felt, I'm getting emotional. I felt understood. I felt loved. I felt appreciated. I felt valid. I felt important. All of these things that I had not felt in a long, long, long time, just from a call with her that day as she was sharing the opportunity with me. And I was like, okay, clearly this is something I should investigate a little bit more. And so I remember talking to my husband, and the whole reason I said yes was initially for the 50% discount. I just wanted my discount on the product. Anybody else like that? Like, this stuff is amazing. It helped my skin. It felt so good. I had really, really horrific cystic acne, and the skincare was awesome. And so I wanted it. I couldn't pay for it at full retail. And I wanted my starter kit for my 50% discount. And I thought, if anything else happens, then great. But I will never be a sales director, and I will never drive one of those free cars. And I was dead serious. So thankfully God had other plans, and he started unfolding those. So we got pregnant with our second son about 3 months after I started my Mary Kay business. And 2 days after we found out we were pregnant, I was hemorrhaging at home and thought I was having a miscarriage. And so we went to the doctor the next day. They got us in, and long story short, Liam is a complete miracle baby. We had a lot of complications with him from the beginning. And then we had him, and he is healthy, happy, full of life, silly. Oh my gosh, the funniest kid, and brings so much joy to our family. In that season, though, I had to think a new thought. It went from, I want my 50% discount to, I need to make some extra income and figure out how to make this work. And so Beth poured hours of time and encouragement into me, and lots of grace, like I said. And I remember just the process of moving from consultant and then really seeing the big picture and moving into a position of leadership with the company. So I think I became a red jacket in October of 2017. So I was not a big hot shot that was just like out the gate, here I am, I'm fixing to blow everybody's minds. Okay. It wasn't like that. Became a sales director in June of 2019. Okay. And that season, again, miracle baby, became a sales director. I was going through a lot of postpartum depression after our second son. So that was really, really hard. And that was where I kind of learned there is no joy in pleasing others, but in serving others. Y'all, it brought me so much relief and joy when I was out working my business and I wasn't at home thinking and like changing diapers. And dealing with myself because I was in such a dark place. But when I was out, like spreading joy, and seeing faces and encouraging and like making women feel good, it made me feel good. And the more I did that, obviously, the faster my business started to grow. Okay. So it was lots of seasons. I went through a winning season as a new sales director in my first year. When I say this, hear my heart. Okay. I didn't want to even bring this stuff up, but I felt like God wanted me to. So here it goes. This is not to toot my own horn or to pump myself up or anything, but this is to tell you and show you, you too can do this if I can, and to offer hope and also to give honor and glory to God. So in my first year as a sales director, I did triple star, triple crown, was #1 sales director in my debuting class, was second runner up to the Queen of Sharing that year. And then, good grief, it was a big year. We did our first unit circle of 400,000, earned a pink Cadillac right out the gate that first year as a sales director. So that was kind of a winning season for me, right? That was a season of growing confidence and learning the skill set and figuring things out. It was fun. It was a fun season. In that season, there was a lot of heartbreak too. Our oldest son, Logan, got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at the age of 4, and our world was turned completely upside down. And that's a daily battle. I mean, it's a chronic illness that affects him and affects our family, right? But in that season, I remember just learning to work in pockets of time. That's what my director always taught me, work in pockets of time. And y'all, I built my business around nap time for my kids and just getting stuff done, and working smart. And so in my first year, it was that winning season and that heartbreak season. And the next year was a growing season. Our unit went on to do top trip Circle of Excellence at 650,000 in our second year as a unit. That was 2021. COVID, virtual, didn't get to go on the trip. The company gave us a very, very gracious cash compensation. And guess what? I got to take my family to Disney World and make my son's dreams come true. And so that was another winning season and a growing season. And then I went into a healing season last year. And I could go on and on about some of the things that I went through personally, mentally, and emotionally, and things that I worked through. And now this year we're in a rebuilding season. And so I'll tell you with my story, honestly, it's changed so much. Why I do Mary Kay, why I continue to do Mary Kay, and being able to design how, your life is huge. So, okay. So I want to share with you, failure is not final and it is necessary for growth. And so I would have never earned a pink Cadillac or had the experiences or all the rings, or earned a top trip as a director, and gotten to where I am today had I not submitted for DIQ the third time. It took me 3 times doing DIQ to finally get it and become a sales director, you guys. And so I think about that, and it's a good reminder that some people give up before their greatest victory, and you never want to give up on yourself or your goal or quit on that, because every single time you attempt something, you're going to grow from it. And failure is just the recipe for growth. And so it's not final. Another thing that I learned, and Beth Austin taught me this and drilled this into my head, was that feeling follows function. Feeling follows function. Because there were so many days that I didn't want to work my business. There were so many days that were so hard, like mentally and emotionally, and taking care of Logan and like just trying to get my bearings, that I was like, Mary Kay was not my top priority. My child was. But I knew that when I would do the work, movement matters. And when I would do that work, then the feeling would come back. And so I had to cling to that and realize that you have to trust the process, and it's all going to come together. So feeling follows function. Another thing I learned is that perfection kills growth, not only in yourself, but growth in others. When we expect perfection, it can literally kill growth. And so one thing I had to let go of And I was still learning it my first year. My second year, I was like really letting go of it, was just having that perfectionist tendency. And what I embraced instead was progress over perfection. A sales director, who y'all probably know, Amy Bowman, had a shirt made for me that said that, progress over perfection. But it really and truly makes such a difference when we do it scared, afraid, messy, sloppy, unprepared, but we just get out there and do the work. And yes, we should try our best, but don't get so caught up in things being perfect that you never do it, or it's not ever good enough. And so just embrace this season, embrace how it looks, embrace the mess, and do it anyway, because that's where you're going to see the biggest result. I know another thing that I really, really learned this past year, and like all of the healing and stuff and working with my life coach, was that I get to choose how I feel. And that is so basic. But for so many years, I believed that I was so out of control and I couldn't choose how I felt. Like I was depressed. I was dealing with anxiety, and like I had no choice. I do. And we do get to choose how we feel. And we do get to choose if it's hard or easy, right? It is what we make it to be. We get to choose if it's fast or slow. One of the reasons I moved so fast was because I remember at my new director education, I think we had Pat Fortenberry and Debbie Moore and Pam Shaw. I mean, we had like a dynamite lineup there. And I remember them making us do that exercise where like you stood up and then you sat down, and then you stood up and then you sat down, and then you stood up and then you like paused and you hovered and then you sat down. And I remember them making us do that. And then everybody started realizing what she was talking about. And she's like, it's so much easier if you do it fast than if you do it slow. And so just knowing I have the power to get to choose if I'm going to do it fast or slow. Asking myself, I would ask myself this question. Okay, if I get to design this, how do I want it to look? What action do I need to take? Who do I need to talk to today if I'm going to get to design how this is going to look? And that really helped me embrace the power that the Lord had already given me, right? He's already equipped me and prepared me for what I need to do, and to quit giving into limiting beliefs that I can't do it, or it's not for me, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not pretty enough, or whatever I was buying at that point. Another thing I learned is that gratitude opens the door for miracles. Gratitude opens the door for miracles. And I'll tell you, with my journey with depression and anxiety and postpartum depression, one of the things that helped me the most was journaling and having a gratitude journal. There's always something to be grateful for. And what we focus on expands. So when we focus on gratitude, everything around us starts changing and shifting. And that's one thing I've personally experienced. And I have to come back to sometimes. I'll forget, or I'll get lax in that and say, oh my word, I need to get my gratitude journal out. So celebrating the small wins and how far you have come is another thing that I learned that has helped me so much, because I do tend to be a high achiever. I sometimes I discredit the small things that are really big things, because your success is just made up of small wins on top of each other, right? And so we need to celebrate those milestones and those small wins that add up to the big wins, and celebrate those people. And that's another thing that I had to learn to do. That can look different for everybody, but really just having that awareness and acknowledging it, and then taking a moment to just breathe and think about it, just makes you smile, right? And that's a big thing. That's a big thing, celebrating the small wins. Okay, so those were some things I learned. Things that helped me move really fast. So I know that this call goes to everybody. So it may be a national listening. It might be a top director. It might be an emerging new director. It could be a consultant. And I want you to know that you are a gift. And you can take this opportunity and run with it. And you can go as fast as you want, as far as you want. And your success is not limited by your recruiter or your senior or your best friend or anybody else. Like, this journey is your own. And if you really know that, and you really walk in that, and you really own that, then you get to control how fast you move, right? And so you can do it fast. And it doesn't have to be fast. You can do it slow. But that was one thing I had to realize for myself. And that's one reason I did move so quick as a new director, is that I created a new normal in my head. And I remember sitting at seminar. I debuted on June 1st of 2019 as a sales director, went to seminar in July. And I sat there in the bleachers and I was a brand new sales director. I don't know. I wasn't in the front. And anyway, I was sitting there and I was watching all these achievements and awards and recognition. It was my first seminar. I'd never been to seminar before. I went as a brand new sales director. And I was like, oh my word, I want to do that and that and that and that and that. And I was just dreaming. And I was sitting by someone and I looked at her and I said, I'm going to do triple star this year as a new sales director. I'm going to do Cadillac. And she looked at me and she raised her eyebrows and she just smiled and she's like, I think you will. And at that moment, when I realized like, I can do this too, and I can do all of this in this year if I want to, that I think unlocked something for me. So the first thing I tell you that helped me move fast was creating a new normal in my head, raising the bar for myself, raising the bar for my unit, raising the bar for everybody that was on our team. Everybody was on target for something. And it was celebrated and it was recognized and it was a big deal. Like everybody's on target for something. There was a win for everybody. Focusing on my personal business, blinders on, like staying in my own lane. It doesn't matter what they're doing. It matters what I'm doing. Just staying in my own lane, blinders on, focused on my goal, turning off distractions. I had turned notifications off on my phone. My phone stays on do not disturb. Really and truly focusing with intentionality on what was important to me and staying in the field. So as a new director, I was still doing the faces. I was still doing the parties. I was still out in front of people. I was not as consistent as I wish I had been. That is something that is hard for me, is like consistency. And that's something I have to work on. But staying in the field was huge. Focusing on others and how I could help them achieve their goal. Like I said, y'all know all of these things. I'm not telling you anything new, but I'm just telling you what worked for me and what I know will work for you if you embrace it. And focusing on others will always get you what you want. And not doing it so you get what you want, but like just truly and genuinely helping them grow their business, helping them, move into their greatness, calling out that greatness in them. I know I wouldn't be where I am right now if Beth Austin hadn't done that for me. She saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself. And so focusing on others and how you can help them achieve their goals. Visualization has been huge for me. Visualization. So I know in my first year, it was dreaming about the pink Cadillac. And my senior had a pink Caddy, and another Mary Kay mama of mine here in Arkansas had a pink Cadillac. And every time I saw them, I was just oh, and so I would sit and I would visualize it, how the leather seats were going to smell. And I would visualize what the boys were going to look like in the back seat as I was sitting there. And I'd visualize them like standing up out the sunroof, waving. And I would just visualize everything about that pink Cadillac. And I lived in that until it became a reality, right? And so visualization is absolutely huge. I know you've heard that a million times, and it's so, so true, you guys. The next year doing trip, I can tell you, I visualized what it was going to be like to earn a top trip as a director. And there were times that I would do it in my Cadillac, and like in the early morning, I'd go and sit in there and I would turn up the song. It's called Believe for It. And it's so good. And I would turn that up and I would just sit there with my eyes closed and I would literally feel the whole experience and visualize what it was like. Well, when they, said everything was going to be virtual and we weren't going to go on the trip in person, they were going to do a cash compensation. At first, my life coach talked me through it. And my senior director called me and everything, and because they knew I was working on trip. And at first I was a little bit disappointed because that was such a big deal. And then there's another part of me that was like, okay, relieved. All right. So how can I keep this vision alive and exciting and something that I will absolutely work for, something that motivates me and gives me passion. And that's when I decided I want to take my kids to Disney World. And I knew that would push me because my kids are my why. And so living in that vision, I would envision Disney World and walking down the street, like seeing the castle, taking the boys on rides. I would envision their faces when they would see certain things that I remembered from my senior trip when I went, like I would just sit in that vision. And I'll tell you one thing that always touches my heart and when I share it, and that is that our kids are watching us, and our kids do more is caught than is taught. Isn't that what they say? And our kids do appreciate what we're doing, even if we don't realize it. My kids were 4 and 6 when we went to Disney. Logan is my type 1 kid. And we were walking down Main Street at, I think, Magic Kingdom, where the castle is. And Logan took my hand and he said, Mama, he said, this is like 10 dreams coming true. And in that moment, I got so emotional. And I was like, I'm so happy, and I just hugged him up. And I thought it was worth it. It was worth it. It was worth the work. It was worth the perseverance. It was worth the time. It was worth the parties. It was worth the process. It was worth it. And so living in that vision is honestly what helped me so much that year, was just visualization. And I cannot, recommend that enough. The next thing that really, really helped me move fast was enrolling others in my goal. Just like I talked about Disney, Logan saw the pink caddy and he dreamed of mommy earning a pink caddy. So our goal was to earn that by June 25th, his birthday. And we earned the XT5 then, and then we earned the XT6 at the end of that month, because in 2020, they still had the Cadillac XT6. And I was like, go for the 3rd row, baby. And so our unit stretched. We had our best month ever, and we earned the XT6. But it was all because of a little boy that had a dream for mommy to earn the P card, right? So enroll other people in your goal. Y'all, my Queen's Court of Sharing is on my refrigerator, and the kids know, they see the numbers, they know what's highlighted. And just yesterday, Logan said, Mom, aren't we supposed to color in another one of those numbers? And I was like, not yet. But they know what I'm working on. They know what my goal is. And I think that's super important. When I was a consultant, I would share with all of my customers and enroll them in my goal of earning my first car in Mary Kay, becoming a sales director in Mary Kay. Our unit was working on our second car, Equinox. Like, I was accountable and enrolled other people in my goal. And that was huge for me. So those are some things that helped me move really fast as a new sales director. And what I want to close with, I hope I didn't take too much time. What I want to close with is that, it's a new year. Excitement is high. The company is like pulling out all the stops. It's absolutely blown my mind. It's 2023. It's January. It's a fresh new start. And what I want to encourage you with, or ask you to think, is what will you choose this year? What will you choose? What will you believe for this year? I think it's time for all of us to think outside the box. I think it's time for all of us to break through old patterns and limitations. It's time to be open to all of the possibilities available to us. It's time to stop believing in limits that don't even exist, y'all, and beliefs that you can or can't do something, or it's too hard, or it's only meant for others, because I believe that for a long time. And the truth is, what is possible for others is possible for me. What is possible for others is possible for you too. You have to believe that. So try to nail down what it is you want this year. Journal about it. Dream about it. Visualize it. God has already hardwired you to achieve every dream that he's ever given you. He's already hardwired you. He's already equipped you for it. You have to trust him. You have to trust yourself. You have to trust the process. And I'll tell you a few books I wrote down. I'm a book reader, and I love hearing like what people are reading. And so a few books that I've read recently that have really helped me and encouraged me are Atomic Habits, Winning the War in Your Mind by Craig Groeschel. Atomic Habits is by James Clear. You can get it on Amazon. The Miracle Equation by Hal Elrod, and then High Performance Habits by Brendan Burchard. Those are books that I've read recently that over the last year that have really, really expanded my mind and helped me to think a new thought. So that is what I have. I hope that that's helpful for someone.
It was amazing. So many nuggets from that. And I bet Beth is so proud. I bet she's so proud. I know we have our spinoffs doing stuff. It's like Mama Bear. It's amazing. We love it. So does anybody, real quick, we have a few minutes. Loralee, that was phenomenal. And I always love your story. I love it. And I think women need to hear that. They need to know that. So does anybody have a question, or I don't know, something they want to share with her, or your takeaway? I always want to leave a few minutes for that.
Loralee, I just want to thank you so much, girl. It was a joy, such a joy, just to get to sit at your feet today. And I know how much work you've done on you, and the work that you've chosen, the hard work, is blessing and reaching so many people. And I know that's where your heart is. And so, just like the hard work of booking the facials and making the phone calls and persevering blessed, your team and your unit. There's a transition and a switch that you make as a sales director and a leader of leaders. And the bookings and all of that becomes the quote unquote easy part. The harder part is leading yourself well. And when you do that, you're so privileged to get to lead others. And I just want to thank you for being willing to do that really hard part. And I think about, gosh, seeing you stand beside my pink Cadillac, and I knew it'd just be a matter of quick time before your very own in your driveway. And I know that the more that you just continue to share and bless others, girl, it's going to be, not a linear journey, right? Straight to the top, but it's going to be all intertwined and highs and lows. And, but you're willing to stay the course and to stay the journey. And you look at any national sales director and they would tell you that's what it's made of. And so you, my friend, just like Logan said, are like 10 dreams coming true to have as an Offspring sales director and to have as a leader of leaders. So thank you for all you gave today, girl.
That's amazing. Does anybody else have any questions or anything they want to say? Go ahead, Sandy.
Thank you so much. One of my takeaways will be to create a new normal in my head, and to raise the bar. And so thank you. You shared so much wonderful stuff. I did have a question. What was the fourth book?
Yes. The fourth book was Miracle Equation by Hal Elrod.
No, there was something
Okay.
after that, because I've read that one. It was
Okay.
Brenda.
High Performance Habits. High Performance Habits by Brendan Burchard.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
That's awesome. Anybody else? I don't want to ever leave anyone out. I'm looking. Remember, I muted you, so you'll have to unmute. Sorry. I know sometimes we think we're in quiet rooms, but it creates an echo. And I always think that's so rude. And I want people to think I'm being rude. Like, I'm sorry you're muted. I'm sorry about it. Well, ladies, thank you for taking time on Thursday. I hope this fuels your heart and your energy for the new year. And I will get I tell you, give us 24 hours. We always get it on YouTube. If you're new, if you just subscribe to Jennifer Enlow on YouTube, that's literally what it is. And you can see all of today's and the past and share them with whoever you feel needs them. And be back next Thursday. We'd love to have you. And like I said, share it to everybody. Thanks, ladies. Hope you have an amazing day.